Hello, it's a pleasure having you. Following the proceedings of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, it appears that TINUBU is losing the case because this admittance of those evidence by the Labour Party and P2B seems to, of course, send INEC and APC a very strong trembling and panicking because the odds are now against him. What do you have to say?
And we always you always come up with Labour will always come up with evidence to the public, even without bringing any evidence. Nigerians know that Obi, Labour Party candidate, won the election, but there is some adage they bring as of recent said Obi has the vote, but TINUBU has the seat. You get?
Obi has the vote, but TINUBU
has the seat.
Has the vote.
The seat. So it means that
what kind of impression?
The impression is that there's power that made people whatever you want to be. You need to meet them. You get? So your vote doesn't matter. The evidence you bring on table doesn't matter. You get? So in the end of the day, they know where they're heading to. So it's just Obi is doing the right thing, which the masses support. But what I want to let people know is that the current system in Nigeria, how Nigeria is being run, does not necessarily mean when you bring enough evidence that we give you the victory that you need, the justice you deserve.
No, much anticipated.
I doesn't believe in that.
But Nigeria seems to be, or possibly, of course, claimed to be a democratic state. Where the rule of law should be paramount.
Yeah.
So why is it that this adage is coming that Obi has the vote and TINUBU have the seat? And the appeal courts or courts of tribunal have admitted several evidence in favor of Obi's petition. So don't you think that this possibly will turn in favor of Obi? Because with those admittance, INEC and APC legal councils are trembling.
My brother, I don't have to, this is my personal opinion now. And if you read how the politics and how politicians has hijacked the judicial system in Nigeria, you will notice that even when you bring enough evidence that shows that this election is full of irregularities, rigging and manipulation, you will still find out that in the end of the day, no matter the evidence you bring on table, does not necessarily give you the victory that you deserve, that people deserve. But we still everything is possible with God, with prayer. God Almighty can turn the table around.
Do we have to leave it for God? Because can't we hold the judiciary responsible for any denial of justice, perceived justice, rather than shifting the blame or burden on God at the mercy of the evil politicians who may want to take undue advantage of the process?
Whether we believe it or not, Nigeria already be captured by these people.
Captured
by these few individuals.
Political cabals.
Yes, they have already captured Nigeria. So we leave all our faith now in God. So whatever happens, we appreciate God. You get? So in this process, in this all the problem we face in Nigeria, we say God will help us. Okay, imagine what we are going through in terms of fuels,
Removal of subsidy.
removal of subsidy. I don't know whether the subsidy has already been removed or they are just saying it. But there is something I read as of recent, how the politicians hijack every system that's supposed to make things work in Nigeria. They hijack it. Okay, imagine a 4 days to go of the previous administration, they went and commissioned Dangote refinery, which has only 85% completion. You get, they went and rushed and commissioned
Why
the project.
The project is still ongoing.
Yes, the project has not been completed.
Perhaps they want to get cheap
Do we ask
propaganda.
ourselves, why do they do that? Because they have mission. They have what to gain in doing that. They seize every public refinery that will make things work. They go for private, which all of them invested in it. So they make
Considering your age as a very young person, which you have prospects, considering that over 70% of the Nigerian population are predominantly youths, what are you advising the youths of your likes to do in the face of all this injustice and deprivation, knowing that you still have future, you still have prospects, and do you think that your interests and future is protected within the Nigerian system?
First of all, we need to find out where we get it wrong, and where we get it wrong, I think the foundation of the country, of the nation, is very wrong. So therefore we need to negotiate the unity of this country for we to lay a good foundation for the youth and for the future of
we negotiate the unity of this country with the same cabals, with the same disgruntled elements within the corridor of power who would not want to let go. So how do you negotiate with them?
What I mean is to conduct referendums for the indigenous Nigerians.
Better said that the constitution does not recognize referendum.
That's exactly what they did. For you to, for whatever they did it so that whatever they did, you have no right to question them. You get, the people that organize Nigeria organize it and hand it over to people that will do their bit. You get, so therefore
how do we get over this? And
what we do as in Nigeria, what we advise Nigerians is, let's pressure the world, let them understand that the system that is operating in Nigeria is not favoring anybody. Being you Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, or Fulani, anybody, is not favoring anybody. But only when you get to the inner caucus, that is only where you start benefiting. But if you are on the street, on the market, women are not benefiting. You get, so what I mean is, let them conduct referendum for every ethnic groups in Nigeria. Let them find out how to move on.
Now, how can you get their attention to do this and see it as the only way forward?
That is the only way forward is, let every ethnic group that understand the how progress of a nation starts, let them begin to organize themselves, just like Eastern region. You see how they are pushing, despite the way they are being oppressed, they still keep moving and forcing the world to speak on their behalf. So I think every other ethnic group should do so as well. Let them put settlement and ethnic this aside. Let them focus on their future,
and fight for their survival, which is paramount at this time.
Yes.
Because without survival, you may not have what is called future.
Because what I'm seeing is, eventually, the Eastern region succeeded in pulling out of Nigeria. The remaining ethnic groups in Nigeria will not find it funny. That is a fact. So now is the time for them to wake up and speak in one voice. Forget who controls the power. Your TINUBU is there. It's not his position in Aso Rock does not favor Yorubas. What they are doing is just let it be there, is my brother. But you are not, in actual sense, you are not getting anything, which is very funny. But
And everybody is bearing the brunt of the recklessness of the executive and the insensitivity to the plight of the people. Now, how have you been coping with this subsidy removal and the hike in commodities and transportation?
I know. I've been following up Nigerian politics right from 2007 or thereabouts. I've been following it. So if I said that the current situation affects me, yes, but I prepare for this because I know it must surely come. Even the worse than this is still occur if we continue like this.
I know you are conversant with the procedures of the proceedings of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. And of course, that is no longer news that the judges have admitted several evidence that will aid, of course, to facilitate the judicial litigation by the Labour Party and precisely P2B. But what is your reaction?
Thank you for having me. I think my reaction is simple. It is no longer a rumor that PDP and Labour Party have submitted a plethora of documents arising from INEC, which are certified true copy from INEC, in trying to prove their case about the election falling below Electoral Act, falling below the standard of Electoral Act. But I think what is surprising is the manner the umpire, I mean INEC, is asking the court not to admit those documents as exhibits. It beats all imagination to see that an institution of government that certified a document and delivered to a correspondent will get to the court and start asking court not to admit it as exhibits. But I can equally understand that the defense counsels of APC, INEC, and the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, have raised issues as to why they feel those documents should not be admitted, and they will do their final address after all the arguments before the court, the electoral tribunal will give their verdict. But again, I think I don't want to prejudice the outcome of that judgment, of that case, because I think the electoral tribunal has the right to look at the merit and demerit of the case and pass judgment.
Are you smelling a rat? It seems, why should INEC refuse to accept, of course, the document they issued to the Labour Party, a certified copy of the results? Why are they jittering? Is it an early panic or what?
To be quite honest with you, those documents are vital in aiding the court to arrive at its decision. And by our standard, for me, I feel that INEC have no reason, have no basis to say they are asking the court not to admit those documents as exhibits. Because one, in Nigerian legal jurisprudence, before you are tendering any document before any court of competent jurisdiction, the first thing the court want to look at is it a certified true copy? Even I go on my way to make a photocopy of a result, I take it to INEC office. INEC endorse it with their stamp and sign it. It becomes certified true copy, let alone a document that originates from them. So for me, I think INEC is being fraudulent by asking the court not to, through their counsel, not to admit those documents as exhibits.
If all things being equal and the judicial process is not intercepted or interrupted, do you see TINUBU losing at the tribunal?
That will amount to prejudice. I wouldn't prejudice the outcome of the case, but personally, I can categorically tell you that I'm dissatisfied with the election results. because it is no longer a rumor that in Rivers State particularly, premium tiles newspaper went to INEC server, collated the result that is already mutilated in the server, and from the result they collated and counted, Labour Party won. And the BBC Media House did the same thing recently, and Labour Party won. So it goes to show that INEC acted in flagrant, complete flagrant to the rule of engagement.
I think the most serious dilemma for the incumbent president, if he can possibly scale through, is that issue of 25% in Abuja. How do you think that the court could, evade, or of course, the position of the constitution?
I think that issue of 25% in that has to do with Abuja. That case may linger to Supreme Court for Supreme Court to take a decision on it, a position on it, because there are many legal luminaries who have argued for and against. And the way it stands, even if the court give judgment for, the other party will not accept it. They want the Supreme Court to give its own interpretation. Even the court, the electoral tribunal gives against, the other party will still want the Supreme Court to give its own interpretation. And you and I know that Supreme Court is the high court of the land. Their verdict have no appeal. So for me, I wouldn't want to say it is for or against until the court makes a pronouncement on it.
Okay, no, the overall view or assessment of this presidential election that, of course, gave rise to the current president of Nigeria having about 36% of the total vote cast. Don't you think this is an unpopular government, where more than 63% of the Nigerians' population rejected him at the poll?
To be quite honest with you, in a good democracy, you cannot have a president winning on the basis of that slim percentage. But as unfortunate as it is part of our constitutional provision because our electoral act allows it. So that is why I think people should start pushing for constitutional amendment. So that, because you can, whether how I look at it, you have if you look at it from the perception that he is not popular on this ground that people who voted him are in the minority, that government is unpopular from the beginning, and that unpopularity is going to taint that government all through its lifetime. So for me, it is quite unfortunate that a president or someone who would have won on the basis of minority votes is being declared winner. But it is unfortunate, but as unfortunate as it is, the Nigerian Constitution allows it. So there is need to amend the relevant section of the Constitution so that in the next round of election, before you are declared winner, the Constitution would have made it that you would have won at least 50% of the majority lawful vote cast.
You see, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu to be the political black sheep within the Nigerian political sphere. Would you expect anything surprising from him in terms of revamping the economy or turning around the fortunes of the Nigerian people?
I will not vote for him anyway. It depends on the teams he put together. But I can categorically tell you that there are areas I will feel that he will do better than the last administration. Like the area of unnecessarily shutting down border against rice importation, I have a feeling that he will not toe that line. Because for me, I think it's what unfortunate that Muhammadu Buhari shut down the border.
You have a feeling. How possible to rely on your feelings based on
because
the realities?
So many stakeholders criticize the action of the former president, and the allies of the present president were among the critics of that border policy. So for me, on that basis, I have a feeling that he is not going to toe that line, and if that is the case, we are going to see the price of rice and some other things like that coming down. But On the area of security, I do not see his ability to addressing it, except otherwise it depends on the team he will put together. So let me not rush into doing an appraiser in that regard. Let me allow him to form his team, and let's see the competence and the antecedents of those that will be in that sector to run it. On the area of education, on the area of health sector, in fact, let us allow him to form his government before I can do a holistic appraisal on his anticipated success or failure.
Well, how long will it take to form the government? We already, of course, I think it's before the public domain that more than 62 persons were killed within Sokoto and its environs yesterday. So, who should be held responsible? Should we be losing the lives of Nigerians because we are waiting for the incumbent president to form his government? Which other government is he trying to form?
Whether he fraud the government or not, whether he submits his ministers to the National Assembly or not, once there is killing, he takes responsibility because the constitution is unambiguous about it. That the welfare of Nigerians and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. Then, secondly, before he can send his ministerial nominees to National Assembly, they would have formed the 10th Assembly, and that will be after the president would have written a letter of proclamation to the clerk of the House to the National Assembly for the election of the Senate President, the House of Reps Speaker, and all the principal officers of the two chambers of House of Assembly. Having done that, he will now forward his ministerial nominees to them. And there is a constitutional provision currently that says you cannot exceed 2 months before submitting your ministerial or House or commissioners and nominee to either National Assembly or State House of Assembly, as the case may be. Don't forget that his predecessor, Muhammadu Buhari, spent 6 months before forming his government. That have a way of impacting negative on his government and on Nigeria. So I don't think he's likely going to do that. And because recently, when Faleke, a close ally of his, was interviewed, he was unambiguous about the current government forming their cabinet within that 2 months that is allowed by law.
Okay, and ever since the announcement of the presidential winner by the INEC, according to INEC decision, wouldn't that be enough, the window of 90 days be enough for him to have perfected who should be what in his cabinet? Rather than waiting after swearing in, you need to wait another 60 days before deciding that. What kind of system of government? Well, that is, by the way, are you surprised at what you are seeing, the level of hardship that have been sustained by this incumbent president or government? Don't you think he's fulfilling his promise that he's going to step into the shoe of Buhari, whose government has brought unimaginable pain and loss to the Nigerian? Is he just fulfilling his promise of stepping into his shoe?
I'm not surprised in any way because from the word go, we all know that if you remove subsidy, it comes with some hardship. So those hardship is what Nigerians are passing through. And it doesn't matter how you look at it, he have made his position known that no matter how long Nigerians protest, he's going to remove subsidy. And it's on that basis I'm even throwing my weight behind Labour, that Labour should sustain their pressure to extract reasonable commitment from the government to ameliorate the suffering that is being occasioned by the subsidy removal on Nigerians, especially the vulnerable.
It's quite unfortunate. There is an expert that made shocking revelation that the cost of production per liter is at 18 naira. You see, following the contract of direct sale and direct purchase reached by NNPC with their partners, of course, refineries. So why should the price of fuel shoot up to such extent? And he claimed that nothing like subsidy has been paid in the last 8 years, but more than 6 trillion has been budgeted for that. So how do we, cover up this?
I think the expert you referred to, I will still take my time to do an appraisal of all the issues he raised before you drawing inference from that report, because for me, I think that areas I may vehemently disagree with him, that areas I will concur with him. So until I do a comprehensive appraisal of that report, I cannot speak holistically on it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you for your time. We are reporting here live and direct from Core TV. I remain the host anchor, Chigo Zendibo. Please kindly hit the subscription button. If this is the first time of watching or if you have not done so, don't forget to give us a thumbs up as we continue to bring your way unbiased reportage of events as they continue to unfold.